and pregnancy loss. Moderators are Dr. Sharda ma'am, Dr. Kuldeep Jain, and myself. Our esteemed panelists are Dr. Manju Barik, Senior Consultant at Max Hospitals, Dr. Rashmi, Senior Consultant at Guru Tegh Bahadur Hospital, Dr. Manju Sharma, Consultant at Sharma Nursing Home, and Dr. Praveen Gupta, Senior Consultant at Shivam Nursing Home. So may we have the first question, please? A primary gravida, 24 years old, comes with amenorrhea 9 weeks. She complains of slight bleeding, which is much less than the normal. We go back to the previous slide, please. Vikrant? Yes, and please stick to this till a time I tell you to give me the second slide. And please unmute the other people except for the panelists and the moderators. Thank you. So this lady, she's 25 years, she's a primary, amenorrhea 9 weeks, comes with mild bleeding, which is quite less than her normal menstrual bleed. There is mild pain in abdomen. What will be your initial steps? She's pregnant, she's 9 weeks pregnant, she's a primary, she's complaining of pain with mild bleeding PV. How will you manage her? She's come to your OPD. Any of the panelists, please?
Okay, so she's 24 years, as a very young lady. She comes at 9 weeks amenorrhea. So first thing is that we presume it to be pregnancy, but we need to confirm that she's pregnant. So maybe we can, during pregnancy test can be done if it has already not been done earlier. And now she's complaining of slight bleeding PV, which is a very common finding in the case of early pregnancy in the first trimester. And the initial, but she's also having slight pain in the lower abdomen. So first I like to do the examination to see that, see in this case, we don't know the location of pregnancy. So it is very important to rule out that it is intrauterine or extrauterine ectopic pregnancy may also be there. So clinical examination is important to be done, that but she looks to be very stable patient. So I like to do urine pregnancy test, confirm pregnancy, and localize the pregnancy if in the premises only ultrasound is available. So we can avoid PV examination and we can directly go with the transvaginal sonography in this case.
Doctor, will you speak a little louder? Is Dr. Praveen?
Yes. No,
so,
that is Dr. Rashmi was speaking.
Yeah, I was speaking of the. Am I audible?
So, Doctor,
yeah, you are audible.
You need to be a little closer to your mic because we can't hear you. So, Dr. Rashmi, you mentioned that you would want to avoid a per vaginum, but you will go for a TVS.
Yeah, if it is in the, like nowadays OPD, it is part of your examination only. So if it is available, otherwise I can go for the PV examination also.
Fine. And yeah. Then how onwards will you manage? Suppose the pregnancy is, there is a 9 weeks pregnancy, the CRL, the SAC, the cardiac activity. Yeah. Suppose there is no subchorionic bleed. Suppose there is a subchorionic bleed. How will you manage her further? Once you've diagnosed it is an intrauterine pregnancy and it is a live, that is the first aim, that it is an intrauterine and that it is a live pregnancy. Right. Once that is done, how will you proceed?
Right. So if it is a live pregnancy, the chances of the lady having miscarriage is quite less. So, but still she can have around, I think around 10% chance of having a miscarriage is still there. And as such, everyone is discussing, even the progesterone role is now controversial. Even in RPL, it is not dogmatically recommended.
So RPL की बात ही नहीं हो रही राजा,
that is why we are not, I think it is just wait and watch. I will try to assure the woman that she is not, is most likely will continue the pregnancy and everything will be normal. So I just like to assure
Dr. Rashmi, would you like to put her on antifibrinolytics? Would you like to put her on tranexamic acid, ethamsline? Would you like to use that?
See, she is having very slight bleeding, so it is not required as such.
What about the other panelists, Dr. Praveen, Dr. Manju? What is your?
Yes, I would like to start. I would like to start tranexamic acid, and along with that, I would like to give.
Dr. Praveen, you need to come closer to your mic. We can't hear you.
I would like to start with tranexamic acid, and along with that, I would like to give dydrogesterone to her. and get her investigations done. And then
Doctor, tell me she's having pain in abdomen. What would you suggest for that? Would you suggest some antispasmodic?
yeah, Drotavirin, I would prefer to go for Drotavirin, 80 milligram PDS.
Okay. Dr. Kuldeep, what is your take on this particular treatment? Role of progesterones, antifibrinolytics, and antispasmodics?
I think let other people also give their the input.
Yes, Dr. Manju Barik, Dr. Manju Sharma.
Dr. Deepti, I would like to give her a little bit of rest if she's working. So I will give, I advise some rest, not the strict bed rest. And I would like to give her progesterone support and progesterone, yes, or sustained release or didigestone, whichever route prefer. And then I would like to investigate her and to see first the treatment will depend on the finding of ultrasound. Maybe she has a missed abortion because she is 9 months. She could be anything. She could be ectopic. She could be a missed abortion. She could be a threatened abortion. So depending on the ultrasounding findings, my treatment will continue according to that only, because she is having pain, she is having amenorrhea, she is having bleeding. So first, we have to confirm the diagnosis. Differential diagnosis is there, like threatened abortion, ectopic, and the missed abortion. So if the baby is live and is corresponding with the live, there is a no subchorionic hemorrhage, and if at all it is there, it is less than 50% of the total placental bag, so the prognosis will be good and she should respond with our conservative management. And I will also give her routine all investigation, not the extensive RPL investigation, routine pregnancy investigation, especially thyroid and sugar, that I will recommend for her.
Dr. Manju Sharma, what will be your take on her treatment? What will be the dose of progesterone, vaginal progesterone? If you suggest, what will be the dose?
Dr. Manju ma'am, mute yourself.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
So, okay, this patient now is a case of 9 weeks pregnancy, whose ultrasound is live pregnancy, as you say. There is no subchorionic hemorrhage. I usually don't write vaginal progesterone in these cases because patient is bleeding. So I give oral dydrogesterone, 10 milligram twice a day. And I start with 4 tablets of dydrogesterone stat, and then after 6 hours, 1 tablet and then 1 BD. And then in this case, I would also like to do specially thyroid and blood group. If she is an Rh negative patient, then I need to send her ICT also. And then we have to give her, like,
she's a primary gravida.
so what? If primary gravida is there and her blood group is negative and she is bleeding, I would still like to send ICT. We don't know, at times the patients don't give us a history of previous miscarriages, or they don't know whether the miscarriages occurred or not. I personally am doing these things and routine investigations like HIV.
So we have a consensus over here that now Dr. Sharma Batra wanted to know the role of bed rest. When you say bed rest,
Can I, Dr.
The
Deepti,
role of bed rest is...
Can I chip in?
Ji, ma'am.
Yes.
I think, we gynecologists are relying more and more on ultrasound only. I think, we must definitely, initially, we must do an examination. Yeah, ultrasound will definitely follow. Ultrasound will definitely follow, because in nearly whenever even there is a slightest spotting, 50% of time you may not have a fetal heart activity. Good that she has had it. I feel very strongly that no antispasmodic to be given. I feel very strongly no tranexamic acid to be given. One should use a minimal medication. Whatever is a normal in pregnancy and deficiency, that particular part is to be done. And my request to all gynecologists who have said that, please go back, that you are not supposed to give these kind of investigations. And naturally, once you have done hard on this particular patient and the fetal activity is done, no subchorionic hemorrhage, the prognosis is good.
So it is very clear, this patient, she's come to you, you've done an ultrasound, and it is intrauterine live pregnancy. The duration of pregnancy matches with the CRL. In that case, we have already talked about tender loving care, reassurance that the baby is fine, and folic acid in addition to progesterones. That is your personal choice, whether you want to continue with oral or vaginal route. And plus you will go for the basic investigations. Next slide, please.
Yeah, I think basic investigation, when we speak, as I have told you that these patients, they should be investigated for thyroid. That is a recommendation basically, because no bleeding in the pregnancy, early pregnancy should be taken lightly. So you should try to get investigated, minimal investigations are required. And these are, you have to rule out any active infection because she is complaining of pain also. So urine routine microscopy culture is one investigation. Urine routine culture is one investigation which might help you. It may not help, it might help you in management, further management, and rest of the things remain same. So rule out thyroid, rule out diabetes, and go as it is discussed, the outcome will be much better. So you have to reassure, but at the same time, you have to have a close watch on this patient. Otherwise, next time she will come with a large subchorionic hemorrhage if you have not taken care of this bleeding. So that is what is required.
So one of the questions in the chat box was the use of HCG, which Dr. Pradeep has. So already highlighted that HRA guidelines do not recommend the use of HCG in the treatment of threatened abortion.
But see, 9-week pregnancy, it may not help HCG, but if it is little early pregnancy, maybe 6 week, when the patient coming at 6 week, it might help because many of these patients, though she is a spontaneous conception, she is a young lady, but the same patient, if it is say having an infertility problem, then in those patients, because there is a lot of defective folliculogenesis, and in these patients, HCG might help. So depending on, because she is spontaneous conception, 9 week has already passed, there is already a uteroplacental shift occurred, and this is the time when so HCG may not be helpful in this particular patient.
So doctor, in these kind of patients, suppose she was 6 weeks and she comes with a bleed, would you, when you look at the corpus luteal cyst, does that give you some reassurance?
Yes, certainly. We always look on the pregnancy, on the adnexa. So if you are having a good, what you call corpus luteum, nicely formed with a ring of fire, then usually whatever you give, like progesterone, because that is not the cause of this bleeding. You have to find another cause of the bleeding in that particular patient.
Yeah. So this is something I would want all my friends and colleagues to please understand, that if this is a little earlier pregnancy and you do your scans in your clinic and you see a good corpus luteal cyst, then you must please understand that progesterones really might not be needed. Okay, so we move forward and the patient comes to you with severe bleeding. Now she says that she's come back to you again and she's passed some clots. So how will you manage her now? It is no longer a mild bleed, it is passage of clots. Any of my panelists, please?
Now, see, if she's coming with severe bleeding. So first of all, we need to assess the hemorrhage and the general condition of the patient is very important, whether she's hemodynamically stable or not. And as she is coming with she tells about passage of clots. If it is, she just informs, she can actually, sometimes they bring the clots also, actually that products or whatever is passed is also should be seen, because whether she has already expelled the sac or not, if it is there, and sometimes it can be sent for histopath examination also. And otherwise we take care of the general condition, and in this case I would like to do PV examination to assess what is the status of the cervix, what is the size of the uterus, and so as to know what is the means at what level she is in the process of miscarriage in this pregnancy, whether it is incomplete, whether it is inevitable, or whether she has completely aborted also. So I like to do PV examination in this case.
So you've done a PV, the os is open and you can feel something in the canal. Would you like to go for an ultrasound, Dr. Sab?
See, now the os is open. It is sort of a incomplete. She has past clots also. So it is incomplete. She's having severe bleeding. I don't think there is any need of going for ultrasound in this case, and we can go for proceed with the depending on the bleeding. Either we can go for misoprostol, or we can give miso also, or we can go, if she's having very severe hemorrhage, then we may have to do instantly the evacuation also, surgical evacuation, because we have to manage that bleeding in this case.
So I would like the opinion of the other panelist that if the os is open and you can feel something in the canal, would you like to go for an ultrasound to confirm either it is a complete abortion or an incomplete? Or it helps you to make a decision whether she needs surgical evacuation, or will a medical management be sufficient? Dr. Praveen, your take on this?
I think if her os is open, she's already having an inevitable abortion. She's definitely going to report the products. So I don't think so ultrasound will be of any use on it. Looking at the general condition of the patient and the amount of bleeding, if she's having hemorrhage, we have to go for a section evacuation. Or the bleeding is, because she's past clots, that means the bleeding is excessive, so it is better we go for a section evacuation in this case.
So you will not, after doing a PV, you will like to go for a suction evacuation. You would not keen to do an ultrasound. Okay, Dr. Manju Sharma,
Dr. Deepti, I would say if we want a medical abortion, so I would like to do a ultrasound. If you don't want to do surgical evacuation, the patient's condition is not critical, and if she was a medical termination, but we should do an ultrasound beforehand to see exactly the amount of POC, so that we can reassess after the medical abortion is done, and after 1 week we can assess. And the patient is bleeding heavily, and so no need to do, and there's no time also to do ultrasound. We can straight away go to DNC or evacuation.
Okay, so in your case, if the patient is bleeding profusely, there is no time for a scan. You would like to go for a DNC right away. But if it is a moderate bleeding, you will like to do an ultrasound, and then take a decision for whichever the procedure, so that you can have a follow-up.
Yes.
Dr. Manju Sharma, what is your take?
Ma'am, actually the doctors who are doing ultrasound themselves, they should do an ultrasound before. But in my case, because I don't have an ultrasound at my clinic, and if a patient comes to me with this history of threatened miscarriage and now she's going into inevitable, like I'll do a PV, the os is open, I can see the products, I usually do an evacuation. And otherwise, we can always go for an ultrasound if you have an ultrasound in your clinic.
So that is, in your case, it is optional whether you have the facility for an ultrasound or not.
Or not, yes.
So, Dr. Kuldeep, now please, sir, aapka opinion batayenge. Considering the fact that we need documentation for every step, and we need to show to the patient that despite the bleeding, that some patients might insist कि शायद baby ठीक हो, आप एक ultrasound करके देख लीजिएगा.
I think you have to be very sure first that whatever you are conveying to the patient, because if you are not convinced that the os is closed or not, certainly ultrasound will be required, because she is come with severe bleeding, passage of clots. So ultrasound may not be that helpful in the management as such. For documentation purpose, you might, but it is not the routine practice when the patient is coming with severe bleeding, with a history of passage of clot, and done a PV, os is open, may not be very helpful.
So, except for documentation, we really don't need it.
Yes.
Can I chip in here?
जी ma'am, जरूर.
Whenever patients of this kind used to happen, I'm just talking about my residency.
Yes.
It was told to us, that time there were no ultrasounds.
Yeah.
It was told to us, please secure her vitals, everything is okay, put an IV line, reassure her that you are in a process of abortion, another 15 minutes, the severe pain will go away and you will abort on your own. So we should not be too energetic to put instruments inside the uterine cavity. Just give her 15 minutes or half an hour, 45 minutes, and that's it. If she's severely bleeding, yes. But otherwise, if she's severely not bleeding, let her have a natural course. The only thing what you need to secure is an IV line for her. That's all. If she's at home, reassure her that in a matter of half an hour, she's going to abort everything. And whatever she's going to abort, please see to it that particular tissue, she gets it for you, so you can send it for histopathology. That's will be my approach. I don't rush for evacuation immediately.
So we have a very clear carry home message that you and a first assessor regarding her hemodynamic stability, start an IV line in any case, assure her, wait for a while, she aborts spontaneously, because we know as we go forward that instrumentation in a primary will come with its own repercussions.
You have to counsel her, you know.
So maybe have the next slide now. Meanwhile, Dr. Vandana wants to know what will be the role of adding Syntocinon to the IV drip in case you are waiting for her to abort spontaneously.
And that is why there is a place here. In case if she's already come to a hospital, the gynecologist become energetic. And your energy should be that check the vitals and set up an IV line. Don't do anything. She's just 9 weeks. Give her a time of half an hour. Things will be okay.
I hope Dr. Vandana, you've been answered. So now we have the next question, please. Vikrant, आप अगर इतनी slide बदलेंगे तो the flow हट जाता है. Maybe have the next slide, please.
I'll just like to add that if she is RH negative, well, now that she is aborting, we should give LTD also.
Correct.
Yes. That Dr. Manju Sharma has already highlighted that she would go for a blood group NRH. Okay, now this is over. She's aborted and it's been 2 weeks. She comes back to you for a review. How will you counsel her? And now she's worried whether this will happen again. What investigations will you? So first question is, how will you counsel her? And the next is, what investigations will you order?
Because she is a young primate, at 24 years, there are almost 11% chances of abortions. So I would just counsel her that it's 11% common. And we have got the investigations already done: thyroid, diabetes, blood group, and routine investigations. Urine culture, yes, I am very passionate about doing urine cultures when the patient comes to me. That is all I would like to. I would like to do or anything else in this case.
Dr. Deep.
Vikrant, please see that everyone else is muted, please. Okay, so that is Dr. Manju Sharma, but how will you counsel her? How will you tell her that it was, what is the incidence of a sporadic abortion in a primary, and when she's worried for a subsequent pregnancy?
11% chances at this age, between 24 to 29 years, there are chances of 11% of patients aborting. Most of the time we have this thing, aneuploidies. So no need to, I don't think I would not go for any test in this case, besides what we have discussed: thyroid and blood sugar, blood group, and all the HIV and everything which we have done.
The viral markers.
Viral markers and the urine culture sensitivity, I do like to do. I do it very frequently. Because asymptomatic bacteriuria, whatever it is, I would like to treat that also.
Definitely.
I won't go for anything.
Another thing I'd like to say is that I'd like to counsel the patient not to get pregnant for at least 3 months.
Yeah. And one thing, yes, I also do this rubella IgG. We have to see if this patient is rubella IgG negative or positive. So if she is negative, then I would like to give her an MMR, and then I would tell her not to get conceived. Initially it was 3 months, now it is reduced to 1. But then in these patients, I do tell them to come preconceptionally also. I do this thing also, yes. Hemoglobin electrophoresis I also do. And then I start folic acid 6 weeks before conception also. This is what I would do in this case.
Dr. Manju, you mentioned about rubella.
Yeah.
Now, suppose if the rubella test is positive, she'll be worried that rubella ki wajah se abortion hua hai. What will be your take on that?
So rubella,
So we'll be covering this question and further. But since you already mentioned that you do a rubella, if that is negative, you give her MMR. If it is positive, what will be your next step?
now if the rubella IgG is positive, I would tell her she is immune and she need not worry. And then if rubella IgM and IgM and IgG both are, I don't advise IgM. I only advise IgG, and then I vaccinate them.
Good, Manju.
Dr. Manju Barik, आप कुछ कह रहे थे?
This she's a primary. She has a one abortion. This is a sporadic abortion. In that case, we can, if the patient is very keen to know the cause of abortion, I can advise her torch analysis, because this is the time when we can do because torch is not the cause of recurrent pregnancy loss, but for a sporadic abortion, it can be there. So it is just for her satisfaction, we can get it done. If the, as he said, it was rubella is IgM is positive, this could have been a cause. If the toxo is positive, IgG, IgM, so we can treat in between her pregnancies, so that because the it is only toxoplasmosis which needs the treatment in between pregnancies. So we can do a torch, and beside the thyroid, diabetes, and T3, TSH and T4 we have already covered, and thalassemia, that is a routine part of antenatal care. So this is the time we can do torch, if at all we want to do, not for the recurrent pregnancy loss, but for the sporadic abortions. So your next question comes on this only.
Yes. Then we will, but I would like to know, each of my panelists, she wants to know when can she conceive next. So what will be your take on that?
I will
Dr.
For at
advise
least 3 months. She should
3
wait
months.
for at least 3 months.
3 months for all the 4 panelists?
Yeah, at least 3 months.
So Dr. Kuldeep, आप बताएंगे, how long will you ask her to wait before she plans subsequent pregnancy?
Yeah, I think our panelists they are very learned people, so I go with them.
Okay. So, and so we start. And the next question, please, Vikrant. Next question, please.
Can I say something, Doctor?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Actually, earlier, even the WHO was recommending that the pregnancy should be delayed by 6 months, because for the psychological and physical recovery after a miscarriage. But nowadays, it has been actually seen that if they conceive early, they have a better prognosis. So there is no need to delay more than 3 months, and actually we can just start folic acid, and so it will give a periconception benefit of folic acid can be given. 3 months are good enough for her to recover, and the counseling part, we have to be actually counseling has to be very good at this stage, because in around 40 to 50% of the women it causes the psychological morbidity, this abortion, and that generally remains a neglected part. We investigate, but we neglect the counseling part or the psychological aspect of a abortion, and that is very important. So she needs to be told that I think around in less than 10 weeks pregnancy losses, it is around 80% are due to aneuploidy, which is just a chance event at this age.
Yes.
It is not likely to recur, and she has as good a prognosis in next pregnancy as any other woman without abortion. So she has to be counseled on this aspect very much. Yeah,
fair enough, because it is a one-time, a sporadic incident, and most of them are because of aneuploidy. So the chances of having a successful pregnancy are very high. Now,
I would like to give vitamin B12.
Please, ma'am. Jarur.
I'm an old timer. I think there is no hurry to become pregnant. Tell her 3 months she will take to recoup, counsel her very properly. And that's the time that she comes at 3 months, you tell her that now the folic acid is started. And I think, what very rightly told that, her psychological makeup has to be really taken care of. That psychological makeup does not, if she tries too early, she's going to abort. So I feel, her recovery has to be very complete. And I think probably I'll modify a little bit of figure. In first timer, the abortion rate is something like 17-18%. And one abortion has taken place, it is 20%. So there's hardly any difference between the two, first timer and after one abortion. So it is 17%, it is 20%, not 11%. I think, you need to update. So I think there's not much of investigation is really required. But I think probably I tend to agree with what Dr. Manju Barik has said, that if you want to get done a torch, it can be done in the first time. Otherwise, it need not be done. IgG is good enough.
So now, Dr. Manju Barik has advised torch for her. And
then it has to be IgM, IgG both.
Both.
So
Yes.
toxoplasma, IgG and IgM are both positive. So she's asking you, and you yourself, how will you answer her? Was this particular abortion caused by toxoplasmosis, since both are positive?
You are asking me, Dr. Dipti?
हाँ, आप बताएं, मैं डॉक्टर साहब आपने ही कहा था टॉर्च करेंगी आप?
Yes.
टॉर्च टेस्ट करवाएंगे.
I'm not sure that this abortion was caused by toxoplasmosis only, because I have not done any fetal diagnosis of toxoplasmosis. But since she has an infection and IgG and IgM both are positive, so it is showing the patient is having an acute infection, that it should be treated. And this is the right time to treat her, because in pregnancy, when the patient comes with pregnancy, the treatment of toxoplasmosis is difficult, though it is advisable. So in between pregnancy, in 3 months, we should give a dose of spiramycin for 31 days. And I think that should be sufficient for her, and she will be cured before the next pregnancy.
I'd like to differ.
I would like to differ.
I would like to differ because
Please.
we would like to give the
Dr. Manju Sharma, आप बताएंगे?
Please unmute.
Vikrant, please.
So first of all, I would not advise somebody.
I think शाम हो गई इसलिए बच्चे इरिटेट हो रहे हैं. बताएं डॉक्टर मंजू शर्मा.
अच्छा, अभी तो ये पेशेंट करा के आ गई है, तो हमें कैसे काउंसल करना है? अगर if the toxoplasma, IgG and IgM are positive, then we have to actually see what time the infection has occurred. Because in toxoplasma, IgM can remain till 1 year also. So in this case, we should go for IgG avidity test.
Correct.
IgG avidity test, if high, it shows that the infection was 4 months before. If the IgG avidity test is low, then only I can say कि maybe toxoplasma, yes. If there is parasitemia and seeding of placenta is done at that time, then it does lead to abortions. So my take would be going for IgG avidity and then only killing it.
So
Yes, I would.
both are positive. You would like to go for avidity test.
Avidity
If that
test.
is low, only
Then
then
it's a
you
recent
will hold
infection.
toxoplasmosis responsible for this particular abortion. Dr. Manju Barik, आपका भी यही opinion?
Yeah, that's
And Dr.
okay.
Praveen, your
If
opinion
you
is
want
the
to do
same?
avidity test, yeah, that's good.
Dr. Rashmi,
Yeah.
your take on this? You would like to go for an avidity test first?
Actually, toxoplasmosis is very less likely. I think actually recently only I was reading in Williams only that it says that toxoplasmosis is known to cause abortion in the animals, but not in the humans. It has not been proven that it causes abortion in the humans.
रश्मि एक बात है,
It does cause, it
तो ये
does cause.
फाइंडिंग्स बता रहे हैं, तो अब विलियम्स जाने की क्या जरूरत है?
Ma'am, whether this toxo was actually, whether we should
You do an avidity test, and if the antibodies are low, it is an acute infection.
Yes.
If the antibodies are high, it is a past infection. So you know, Williams and Gani, अब तो patient अपनी finding लेके आई है ना बेटा?
can be. If
So that,
infection we can do.
so now the next question, Vikrant. Now the next question is that, okay, we have done an avidity test. Now she wants to know that whether the next pregnancy will be affected by toxoplasmosis again. What is your opinion about this?
Actually,
It's not safe.
if not chances of recurrent abortion. In toxoplasmosis, rarely it has been seen the reactivation in immunocompromised patients. If they are HIV or on glucocorticoids, in rare cases it can reactivate. Otherwise, it's not a cause of recurrent abortion.
Okay, so
So
now
if she is not an immunocompromised patient, I would tell her chill. Like nothing is going to happen because of this next time.
so अगर इसका avidity आपका low आता है और आपने उसको बोला कि the reason is toxoplasmosis, will you treat her?
Yes.
Will you treat her for 3 weeks? Dr. Manju, Dr. Praveen?
What I read
Yes.
was that we don't need any treatment in non-pregnancy. I don't know which book I read. I'm not
Would you
sure
like
about
to treat her in that non-pregnant interval? Once
It's a self-limiting disease. It's a self-limiting disease. It
Yeah.
doesn't require any
Any
She's already aborted. In
Okay.
case she would have
Now, please keep it in mind that this particular patient with IgG, IgM positive and low avidity, you have not treated her, but she comes back with the pregnancy after 3 months, the UPT is positive. Now, how will you manage her? Keeping in mind her past history of IgG, IgM, toxoplasmosis positive and a low avidity, how will you manage her?
Then we can put on spiramycin for 3 weeks just to avoid the fetal-placental transfer. My take, I can't tell about others.
Repeat IgG titer. If the titers are increasing, so it means she's having infection right now. So she can be put on spiramycin. And the definite fetal diagnosis is done by amniocentesis. And that is then PCR, amniotic fluid PCR will confirm if the baby is having toxoplasmosis. Then we can start with all
So-
triple drug therapy for her.
So we can think of a seroconversion. We have known cases where a previous negative report can become positive, or it can, like, a reactivation can occur. So would you like to?
Not in the
Can I take it up?
Ji, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
डॉक्टर शारदा मैम की आवाज नहीं आ रही हमको.
We can't hear.
विक्रांत, डॉक्टर शारदा मैम की आवाज नहीं आ रही.
मैम का नेटवर्क इशू है थोड़ा सा.
Usually in toxoplasmosis, we don't have any reactivation of the infection, resurgence or reactivation.
Couldn't get an investigation.
Ma'am, we actually couldn't hear you. Hello? डॉक्टर कुलदीप, तब तक आप बताएंगे डॉक्टर साहब.
Can I take it up?
जी मैम. You were not
The
audible.
question, जब भी हम investigations कराते हैं, हमने कराया, पेशेंट का आप पॉजिटिव आया, हमने उसका एविडिटी टेस्ट किया, that is the right approach. And अगर पेशेंट को हमने डायग्नोस किया कि ये अभी एक्यूट इन्फेक्शन है, right then and there आप ट्रीट करो उसको.
Yes.
विलियम्स क्या कहता है, ये क्या कहता है, ये that is immaterial. आप जो स्टैंडर्ड ट्रीटमेंट अवेलेबल है वो आप ट्रीट करते तो ये सिचुएशन आपकी नहीं आती है. नहीं तो कोई इन्वेस्टिगेशन ही मत कराओ.
Yes, I think
Yes,
that is right
I
approach.
agree, ma'am. I'll give the statement.
Actually, simple case को complicate बना दिया and then.
और फिर ये एमनियोसेंटेसिस करके उसका
and then
करेंगे.
you are-
कभी
that's-
सुना है आपने एमनियोसेंटेसिस करके टॉक्सोप्लाज्मा?
Yes.
कितने लोगों ने कराया है कभी?
नहीं.
See, we should not be very theoretical actually on this ground. It is very simple. Primary gravida, not much investigation required, as we have already discussed. Until unless there is some exposure or some high risk. So you decide your investigation line according to the profile of the patient, basically. So otherwise, first abortion usually doesn't require much
Don't need
Investigation.
Don't need for those.
So it is very clear, once you've done a torch test, toxoplasmosis positive, with the low avidity, you will please treat her. You will
Correct?
please treat her.
Yes.
And now that she's come back to you after 3 months with the pregnancy, what will be your take regarding her worry about toxoplasmosis occurring again? Would you do the test again, Dr. Rashmi? Dr. Praveen, आप बताएं. You do the test again.
Toxoplasmosis is not known to cause resurgence or recurrence. It's a self-limiting thing, and once we have already treated the patient, I would not like to repeat the torch test.
Correct.
What about the other panelists?
Yes, no need to just do
I am
an
a no-
ultrasound.
I am a no torch person. I would not have advised in the first instance.
कोई बात नहीं मंजू, अगर करा लिया पेशेंट बाहर से करा के आई तो आपने जो भी कुछ करना है वहां पर
वो हमने
नहीं.
कर
नो टॉर्च पर्सन.
चलो वहां तो हमने बता दिया, फिर एविडेटी कराओ और वो सब कराओ.
डॉक्टर कुलदीप, आप क्या कहते हैं? आप वो सेकेंड टाइम प्रेग्नेंट होकर आई है, उसका ट्रीटमेंट हो चुका है एक बार. वुड यू नॉट फोकस ऑन दिस अगेन?
No, you have to just counsel us that we have to, if we really need to have a good pregnancy outcome, then whatever is the recommendation, we go ahead with the recommendation, and there is no need to worry about this toxoplasmosis.
Okay. So we have the next question, please. Now, when we did the torch test, we had a look at the rubella also.
This we have already answered.
IgG and IgM were negative.
This is already done.
So the question has already been answered, that I will just counsel her that everything is fine. So we proceed to the second question. Second case. So this is a third gravida with previous 2 early abortions of 6 weeks duration. She comes to you for booking. Now she just come to you for booking. There are no symptoms of any threatened abortion or anything. What would you like to know in the history of previous abortions? She is just 6 weeks, gives history of 2 previous abortions of 6 weeks. She's conceived again and she's come to you for booking. What would be relevant questions in her history that would lead you to a diagnosis?
First of all, we would like to know what was the gestation at which these abortions occurred. Early means what?
6
Too
weeks.
early.
6 weeks bataya, doctor. 6 weeks bataya.
Then would like to know whether the abortus products of conception were karyotyped or not. Because depending on the report of the karyotyping of the products, we would like to, because she's already she's a case of pregnancy loss with early abortions at 6 weeks and she's 6 weeks pregnant right now. I'd like to know whether the previous conceptors were karyotyped. And
what if she says that no karyotyping was done? What next question? What will you like to know?
We would like to know that whether ultrasound or any whether pregnancy was confirmed or not, whether any ultrasound was done or not. In that case, we would like to know those reports, and if she aborted, whether any intervention was done, because in this pregnancy that will also be important, whether any surgical intervention was done or not in that case.
So you need to have a documentation that she was pregnant, whether it was a pregnancy test was done, whether a beta hCG levels were done, whether an ultrasound was done. Now she shows you an ultrasound where both the ultrasound reports show an embryonic pregnancy. Dr. Praveen, what can you infer from this finding, that both the times the ultrasound report shows an embryonic pregnancy? Will you give you some lead?
Yeah, it implies that it is most probably there's a genetic cause, underlying cause for these 2 early abortions of an embryonic pregnancies.
Okay. Second scene is that you see her ultrasound report. She says that when I went first, there was a cardiac activity, and then next time when she went again, there was no cardiac activity. Though it is just a 6 weeks pregnancy, so we don't do it that frequently. But just a hypothetical question: at 6 weeks, there is a cardiac activity, and after a week she goes again. Does that still give us a lead as to the probable cause of her? Dr. Manju, yes.
Any patient who, if she complains of a fetal heart presence and then it goes off in previous 2 cases, I would suspect this as a APLA case, antiphospholipid antibodies positive. This comes first of all in my mind.
Wonderful. Dr. Kuldeep, ek aapse puchenge, since you're doing wonderful ultrasounds, is there any correlation between the size of yolk sac and the synchrony between yolk sac and the CRL? And any inference we can get from that?
Yes, actually large, whenever you see a large sac, yolk sac more than 5 millimeter, it is highly correlated with the pregnancy outcome. And these are the patients who are more likely to go for a early abortion if you are seeing a large yolk sac. So certainly yolk sac is one of the marker for the pregnancy in first trimester.
So we will first look for, in her history taking, any evidence of documentation of pregnancy vis-a-vis a pregnancy test or a beta hCG, that too serial beta hCG levels and ultrasound. What is the next question, Dr. Praveen, you would like to ask her besides looking at the evidence of pregnancy? Anything in her family history to give you a lead?
I would like to family history.
Yeah, family history of any thrombosis or patient, or any history of thrombosis in patient, that is important for us. But because patient has come with you with pregnancy, I don't think we can do for any antibodies test.
Even the family history of recurrent abortion is also very important.
That family history of recurrent abortion, that will give you a lead to the carrier status. But then this patient you said has a heart and goes away. In this case,
history of consensual marriage. Marriage in the close relation, that is very important for the genetic causes.
Good, that is also good.
So Dr. Kuldeep had one of his slides shown us that we need to ask about the history of RPL in brothers, sisters, and parents, because this also gives you a lead as to whether there is a genetic cause. We always ask the patient,
Carrier.
आपके परिवार में कोई मतलब मंदबुद्धि या कोई मानसिक विकार वाला बच्चा तो नहीं है. So you need to be very specific about these questions. Anything else besides family history and her ultrasound documentation? Anything else in a history, Dr. Praveen, since you are answering? Any environmental toxins?
That is also
Any drug therapy?
Environmental toxins, alcohol, smoking,
Alcohol,
obesity.
cigarette, obesity,
So
wine,
that-
drinking, alcohol, coffee also.
Dr. Deepti, can I chip in?
Ma'am, please, always welcome.
Now, if this patient was 6 weeks, I feel, as Manju said, that, it can be APLA. The APLA is usually seen 9 weeks plus, that the fetal heart activity has been there and it disappears. It disappears rather little late in the first trimester. Okay? But if it is around 6 weeks, and then, after at 7 weeks it disappears, there can be two possibilities. Either it can be aneuploidy, and or there can be tuberculosis.
Hello.
So what I feel is APLA comes little later, and same is with the familial
Family history.
Yeah, also comes later. The late first this thing and the second trimester problem it is there. It doesn't come at 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Read up again.
What will you look for in examination? You're examining her now. Anything specific you would like to? Keeping in
Examination
mind-
would like to examine for obesity, for
Treatment क्या दोगी?
Examination, physical examination. What will be the investigations you would like to carry? Vikrant, next slide, please. Anyone in the panelists, Dr. Manju, Dr. आप बताएं? Anything specifically during her
Any sign of
examination?
any endocrinal abnormality I would like to see, because this can also cause early abortion, and her other investigation has to be done. The APLA can be done in this segment. APLA should be done. Yeah, it should be done.
APLA and?
No, APLA and hormonal tests like thyroid की screening है, and glycosylated hemoglobin है, that should be done. And ultrasound.
So
This patient has already come to you once she's pregnant. Once she's pregnant, we don't do APLA antibodies. And as ma'am said, okay, fine, APLA has got a late, but then in cases we have a heart and it goes off, we can suspect. I will do all the tests like thyroid, HbA1c, GCT, and urine culture examination. And because even if you find a carrier status at this 6 weeks pregnancy, she may be, if you are having a family history of recurrent abortion, she can be, they can be a carrier status also. But then for a carrier status,
मंजू एक बात बता, थेरी बात नहीं करो. कौन सा कैरियर स्टेटस कराओगे और कहाँ कराओगे? ये थेरी थोड़ी ना हो रही यार. कौन सा कैरियर स्टेटस करो, कौन सी लैब करेगा?
ट्यूबरक्लोसिस के लिए क्या टेस्ट कराएंगे फिर मैम इस समय?
So now
हमें देखना पड़ेगा, पर क्या टेस्ट कराएंगे इस समय प्रेगनेंसी में?
Doctor साहब, अगर आप you're strongly suspecting tuberculosis in this particular patient, people like me will start. अगर आपको pressure है, अगर उसका ESR बढ़िया है, उसका amount to be positive नहीं है, उस time मैं कुछ नहीं करूँगी. मैं I will give a tender love and care and supportive treatment. That's it.
And progesterones, ma'am, will you like to add progesterones in this case?
Of course. I वो तो गंगा जल है.
Same progesterone, tender loving care. That's all, because we can't do anything else.
Here
now.
HCG can be given this time. 6 weeks pregnancy hai, we can give.
I will give.
Yeah, HCG. 6
And
weeks.
it is said that HCG has to be given bi-weekly. We are using it
Yeah,
weekly.
Dr. Kuldeep, आप इसको summarize कर दीजिएगा. What will we look during examination and what relevant investigations in a patient with previous to early miscarriages of 6 weeks? Dr. Kuldeep, are you there?
In my slide, actually, I had highlighted what all investigations should be done when the patient is having history of 2 abortions. Now, this patient has actually come as a gravid uterus. So you may not be doing any parental karyotyping and other thing, but rest of the investigation should be done. And if you see the history before, it is a very early abortion. And when we are doing early, when you are having a patient of early abortion, one important cause is immunological factor. And that's why these patients, I will like to put even empirically on low dose aspirin as well as heparin. Okay, so that should be the line of treatment. Whether you get a APLA test done or not, for documentation, yes, you can do a APLA test done even during pregnancy. But even if you are not doing APLA test, then you can start in these patients low dose aspirin as well as heparin. So I think apart from progesterone, yes, apart from progesterone support, you can start the low dose aspirin and the heparin. So that will certainly be benefiting this patient a lot.
But sir, even if it is only 2 abortions, you will start aspirin and heparin?
Yes, you can.
For the guidelines as such, as we were discussing yesterday guidelines, it says that after 2 abortion treatment is not to be started. And as far as applies.
So, Rashmi, latest see definition is actually changed. It is not 3 abortion, it is 2 abortions only. And once the diagnosis of recurrent pregnancy loss is concerned, then according to the either you document, and if you are not able to document, then you can start low dose aspirin as well as heparin in these patients.
Because for APLA, as such, still for early abortion, it is still 3 and 2 only.
Sorry?
So for APLA diagnosis, even for the early abortions, because for the early abortion, it is still 3 for treatment, starting the treatment.
No, so you don't wait. Actually, in my practice, I don't wait for 3rd abortion. If you want to wait for 3rd abortion, yes, you don't start. But that is, see, basically, whatever the guidelines says, that was my opening remark. We do need guidelines and recommendations, but whatever treatment you are prescribing, I think it should be individualized. And most of our patients, they are at very high risk. Patient has come to you at right time, and if you don't start the treatment, patient is not going to pardon you after 3rd abortion. Okay, so I think guidelines are there, but we usually don't follow all guidelines. They are just recommending certain things, and maybe after 2 years, the same guidelines are changed.
That is fine.
Okay.
That is
So I think I am very strongly believe that this patient should be given low dose aspirin as well as heparin if you want a live pregnancy and don't want to miss this pregnancy.
What is the dose of aspirin you are giving? 75, 150?
150. I am giving 75.
75. And low molecular weight heparin 40?
40. So can we please have the next slide?
Till how many weeks do you give, Dr. Kuldeep? 12 weeks or you will carry on?
No, this continues till last.
Till last.
Aspirin we usually stop.
34 weeks?
But the heparin to continue till 1 week before.
Okay, now the next question is that she is positive. And now for the panelists, there are a lot of questions regarding this. The patient is lupus anticoagulant positive. You will start her aspirin and low molecular weight heparin when? Dr. Manju Sharma, you start when?
I will. No, I will start aspirin even preconceptionally also if she comes to me, but then okay, fine. If she comes in pregnancy, I'll start. And I would recommend a 150 milligram. And then I will also start if there's a positive pregnancy test, though in some cases it has been written that after you confirm the intrauterine pregnancy, then only you start. But I would start low molecular weight heparin and aspirin as soon as the pregnancy test is possible.
Yes, so since she has come to you after she has conceived, we started right away. What about Dr. Manju Barik? You will wait for cardiac activity?
Yes, actually the recommendation is the heparin should be started when the cardiac activity is there.
Dr. Praveen, your take on this?
I agree with Dr. Manju Barre that it is recommended that heparin should be started once the fetal activity heart is documented.
So the genetic causes are ruled out actually. In blighted ovum, there is no need. If it's a blighted ovum, in the 2 previous pregnancy, the ultrasound shows that it was a blighted ovum. So it is most likely it is a genetic cause. So in that case, we have to, if the baby is okay, the cardiac activity will come and the routine care can be given. And this time also, if she has a blighted ovum, then definitely we have to go for the karyotyping. And if the karyotyping is
डॉक्टर साहब, डॉक्टर मंजू, आप थोड़ा ट्विस्ट कर रहे हैं सिचुएशन को. पेशेंट लूपस आंपला पॉजिटिव है.
हाँ, डेफिनेटली. मतलब
अगर वो पॉजिटिव है, आप कब स्टार्ट करेंगे? आप स्टार्ट करेंगे कार्डियक एक्टिविटी का?
कार्डियक एक्टिविटी आने के बाद.
अच्छा.
Yes.
I would like to start heparin only when we confirm the intrauterine pregnancy. We don't wait for the cardiac activity.
So, except for Dr. Manju Sharma, all will like to wait for cardiac activity.
No,
I think once it is intrauterine pregnancy,
before cardiac activity,
as early as possible.
As early. Dr. Kuldeep, your take on this?
Yeah, actually the situation is I have been dealing with a lot of patients who are not reaching up to the cardiac activity or
Yes.
intrauterine or intrauterine sac. You know, our lot of pregnancies, they are ending up in very early
Correct,
beta HCG, at the beta HCG level. So depending on the severity of the, you have to individualize. If I am having a patient who is failing again and again at that stage, she is not reaching to intrauterine gestation sac. So in these patients, actually we are starting at the embryo transfer time. So we are starting heparin just after embryo transfer, and there are a lot of patients which we can carry in term if we start heparin during that time. So practice actually the recurrent implantation failure and recurrent pregnancy loss, it is basically the continuation in many of the patients who are having infertility. So we need to keep that thing in mind. Of course, the guideline says that if you are having a intrauterine pregnancy, you can start. That is the right time for all other gynecological practice. But when you are having a high risk where the patient is not reaching to that stage, you have to take her to that stage, and then that's why you have to start as early as possible. So our pregnancy time starts at the embryo transfer. So once we have transferred the embryo, we start heparin in these cases.
So it is very clear that we start low molecular weight heparin as soon as the UPT is positive, and we start aspirin even before she has conceived. It is in the luteal phase. Dr. Saab, we have a lot of questions regarding this. Now, suppose she is APLA negative, would you still like to give her aspirin and low molecular weight heparin?
Yeah, I have already answered
that question. One other question has been asked. Many times
there are a lot of extended tests. Okay, so the option is, if the primary screen is negative, you can go for inherited thrombophilia profile, and then you go for protein C, protein S, factor 5 Leiden, MTHFR gene. But the recommendations like SRA, it is conditional. So depending on the condition, you can extend these tests to in your profile.
Cover that also.
Yeah, and many times you get the MTHFR, and these patients, they require the heparin. So either you start or you investigate and then start.
Then you start.
Yeah.
Doctor, many times this happens that the patient is on low molecular weight heparin and she starts bleeding. So do you stop it or you still continue with injections?
Continue.
Don't stop heparin. Stop it.
So this is for all my friends and colleagues. that while she's on low molecular weight heparin and she starts bleeding, please do not start thinking that it's because of heparin and you stop it right away. Please continue. It is the bleeding is because of the pathology. So we come to case number 3. Vikrant, next slide, please. Yes. Now this a couple with previous 3 recurrent first trimester abortion is investigated. The woman has a balanced chromosomal anomaly on karyotyping. How will you counsel her and manage the next pregnancy? So this is a case of, yes, Dr. Manju.
Now this is a woman with a balanced chromosomal anomaly. So how can we counsel her? First of all, I will take an opportunity to tell her, because you are a balanced chromosomal carrier, so you can get your family also tested for this, so that in future your brothers and sisters will end up in recurrent abortions as well. That is, and secondly, patients will be phenotypically normal. There won't be any problem in the patients, but the offsprings may have problems. So there are many chances. This patient can have a normal baby, this patient can have a carrier baby, or this patient can have an unbalanced chromosomal fetus, which may have congenital anomalies, or she may abort. So we can tell her that she can go on conceiving naturally also, she'll get a live birth baby, but she may face many recurrent abortions in between. And secondly, we can also guide her about the pre-genetic testing. In these cases, we can do a pre-genetic testing, and then we can transfer the normal embryo. So, and if still there is a problem, then we can ask, does this woman has a problem? Then we can go for donor oocyte, donor egg also. So these are the options which we can go for this patient.
So, Doctor, there is some questions. I think some colleagues of mine want to know if the patient, we talked about heparin should be continued despite bleeding. Aspirin is also to be continued despite bleeding.
Yeah, usually we continue till the patient aborts.
Okay.
We try to say, we should actually, if you stop at that time, then your whole purpose is defeated. Because these patients usually many times they will keep on bleeding, they will continue to be admitted for 5 days, then you will discharge them on the same protocol, they will continue, again they will come. So, the situation is actually not very good in these patients, but you need to continue till you are having a fetal heart and patient is not in the process of abortion. So
because the situation in such patient is that it is an heart attack happening to a child before the fetal heart activity comes. There's a thrombosis takes place, and that's why the fetal heart activity is not picked up. So that is why you need to give a low molecular weight heparin before the fetal heart activity gets started. You know, and if you continue, the fetal heart activity will come.
So Dr. Manju has made it very clear. You have, once you've counseled her, managing is either by expected, let her continue, probability of having a normal fetus is very high, or she can be advised for a pre-genetic testing, diagnosis. Or the third is again, we can advise her a embryo or a ovum donation. Anything else by my panelists, Dr. Praveen, Dr. Manju Barik? What is
there is no role of pre-genetic. There is very limited role of pre-genetic implantation, pre-implantation genetic screening. Yeah, diagnosis is fine if the mother, if the parents are carrier of balanced translocation, but PGS, pre-implantation genetic screening, is usually not applied or used.
But then she's worried that she is having a balanced translocation and probability of the offspring also having. So will it not help her at least?
No,
the
yeah, there's a difference between pre-implantation genetic diagnosis and screening. I'm talking about diagnosis. Diagnosis is fine.
Let's make it pre-implantation genetic testing. Let's make it a more secular approach. PGT. Let us not go for PGS and PGT. आप PGT advise करेंगे उसको?
Yes.
करेंगे. अच्छा, one of the colleagues wants to know, जैसे this particular case, the abortus was investigated And how will you send the aborters for testing? And what will be the test you will advise? आप कैसे उसको मतलब what is the way of transferring from the OT to the lab? How do you send the aborters for testing?
Normal saline.
Normal saline. And what test will you recommend? Chromosomal, fish, microarray?
Yeah, fish microarray.
Doctor, you will, these are expensive tests. So either you go with the fish, Dr. Kuldeep, your take on this, Doctor?
Yeah, see, you can go for microarray, but at least fish is required to get the maximum information. But if you can afford the microarray, yes, why not?
That will be better.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe have the next question, Vikrant. So now this patient is a gravida 4. She's come with 8 weeks of gestation. There are no live issues. All were spontaneously conceived. Her obstetric history is like this. The first pregnancy, she aborted at 16 weeks spontaneously. Evacuation was done. Second, also a spontaneous conception, aborted at 6 weeks. Evacuation was done. Third was again a spontaneous conception, 13 weeks completed, had pain for 1 day, and then she aborted spontaneously. This is the present pregnancy, and now she is already 8 weeks pregnant. How will you counsel her and how will you manage her? Dr. Rashmi, आप बताएं अब बहुत टाइम से.
In this case, actually, she is having both first trimester and second trimester abortion.
Yes.
And so it can be a chance event also, and she may have a normal outcome next pregnancy. So that needs to be conveyed to her. But otherwise, all the causes, if we look at the causes of first trimester and second trimester abortion, somewhere there is an overlap. So all the causes actually can cause first. Typically, though there are uterine causes like they are causing more in the second trimester. Aneuploidies are more in the first trimester, but still there is an overlap. So we'd like to know exactly also, like she aborted at 16 weeks. Was it a painless abortion or was it a normally formed fetus? So we need to know that also. At 6 weeks in between, there might be just a chance event. 13 weeks also, so they are later abortions. She may be in case of EPLA, so basically she needs full investigation. All investigation like EPLA, workup actually needs to be done in this case. And now she's 8 weeks pregnant.
So how will you manage her?
So again, actually, as we have discussed, because now she has come in the pregnant state. So regarding uterine anomaly, we are not sure whether she has any uterine anomaly or not. And so empirical treatment only can be given.
Like progesterones, HCG, folic acid.
Progesterone can be given, dydrogesterone can be given till 16 weeks. Oral dydrogesterone actually is known to, it has been seen that it is effective in some good studies, it has been seen. So that can be given, Difestrone can be given. I like to give Difestrone in this case and to continue till 16-18 weeks. And I like to do the cervical, this also, the cervical length also.
Cervical length, yes.
So successively from 12 weeks, we can start screening for that cervical shortening also, if there is a shortening, because clear-cut history is not there in which will require a cervical cerclage. Because in the 13-week abortion, she had a pain followed by, after next day she had abortion. So that way I like to go, and the whole profile, all the causes need to be considered because she has 3 abortions, and second abortion actually they have poorer prognosis in the next pregnancy outcome. So we have to closely watch her, screen for the cervical shortening, and we can start the first on maybe like again it is controversial at this gestation.
आप क्या करेंगे डॉक्टर साहब? आप कंट्रोवर्सी आप उसको फर्स्ट टर्न देंगे?
Thinking because EPLA has not been done earlier, so we can go for EPLA. We can see and we can then give benefit of whatever benefit is there. We can start treatment of aspirin and low dose heparin, low molecular weight heparin also. That is what we do.
Dr. Manju, आप बताएं.
What I would do in this patient only, because she has all those abortions. And Dr. Rashmi has rightly said It can be, we have to, in this case, she has come to me with 8 weeks gestation.
Yes.
First of all, I would empirically start that aspirin and low molecular weight heparin as discussed with Dr. Kuldeep. And then secondly, this patient has to be look for the cervical length also. So at 12 weeks, we'll go for the normal NT-NB scan and the double marker test. And then at 12 weeks also, we can assess the cervical length. Then at 2 weekly intervals, we can go for the cervical length measurement. If the cervical length goes below 25 millimeter, then we can give us this thing cerclage also. Her abortion was 13 weeks. So this case has to be managed on the grounds of EPLA plus on the grounds of cervical incompetence. And the normally progesterone I would do, and then folic acid and everything which are doing normally in all the pregnancies. I have to do like this in this case. I would be doing
Is a case for prophylactic cerclage? Actually, that is the question which should be answered. Is she a case for prophylactic cerclage, or you will wait for 13 weeks and then when it starts shortening, then you will go for cerclage? So that is the question.
I would actually wait at 12 weeks when her NT-NB scan is normal, her dual marker is normal, everything is normal. And at 12 weeks, if I find that this thing is less, then only I will.
Cervical length is normal.
Cervical length is normal. Yes. Then usually at 2 weeks we can do this. In this case, I can do 1 weekly also.
See, actually, yeah, this is a typical, little difficult to answer. But you see here, first pregnancy aborted at 16 week spontaneous abortion. You may not get always a history of painless abortion in cervical incompetence. I think I'm making myself very, very clear. If you get a history of painless abortion, mid-trimester abortion, your diagnosis is certain. Okay,
yes.
But it doesn't happen always. So you have to keep 2 plus 2 and try to make it 4. And this is one particular case. She has given you a definite hint that 16-week spontaneous abortion. Next was, this is already discussed, that multiple etiology might be there. So she could be a case of EPLA as well as cervical incompetence. Second abortion, 13 weeks completed, had pain for 1 day. Now this pain was because of the some other reason, you don't know, there is no test for that. It is just coming from history. So I think this is a very ideal case for prophylactic cerclage. That is how I see this case. Normally, we don't give prophylactic cerclage. It is not recommended. But this is a case where you cannot afford losing a pregnancy just by waiting, because she has come at right time. So you take all precautions here. So she gets a pregnancy once the dilatation starts. And if you give a cerclage, the chances of continuing pregnancy are less. There are enough studies. When the dilatation starts and you are giving a cerclage, it may go up to 28 weeks, 30 weeks. If there is no dilatation and you are applying a cerclage, it can go up to 32 weeks, 34 weeks. So even if you can make a difference of 3 weeks, 4 weeks in her pregnancy, that will really help. And probably this is a case for prophylactic cerclage.
Sir, at what time you will give the prophylactic cerclage? At this is 12 weeks?
12 weeks.
12 weeks.
12 weeks.
Yes,
12 weeks.
So sir, if at 12 weeks we are doing NT-NB scan and everything, and the cervical length is 4
Yes.
4
13 weeks.
centimeter or 3.5 centimeter, usually we are doing it at 12 weeks. So at 4 centimeter and the 12 weeks NT-NB scan normal, that is the right time according to you to get the cerclage. So what is the harm if I wait 1 week more and see for the shortening of the cervix just to confirm the diagnosis? Is there any like?
See, Dr. Manju, there is no harm. There is no harm. But if you see the typical history of cervical incompetence, it is usually decreasing by
13 weeks.
Okay, so last abortion was at 13 weeks.
13 weeks.
So that's my ideal time.
12 weeks.
Ideal time will be 12 weeks here.
12 weeks. Yes. Doctor, are there any comparison between use of vaginal progesterones vis-a-vis a cerclage, a McDonald stitch, and use of vaginal progesterones?
I am
Any
not aware.
comparisons?
I am not aware.
Okay, so we go to the next and the last case.
Dr. Deepti,
Ji, ma'am.
I think I will have a little difference of opinion with Dr. Jain, because I feel, we do not know at 16 weeks what had been a follow-up. Sometimes the pregnancy may continue, but she must have it must be missed much earlier, which probably speaks some other pathology. So once we do not have that kind of a documentation, people like me will like to wait, and in case if we find that at anti-scan time it is 4 centimeter, I will still wait. Because I think, with these days with progestogens, cerclage role is there, but it should be there when it is indicated. I am not sure whether in history available at 13 weeks she's aborting, at 16 weeks aborting. Nobody has said it was alive till yesterday. So I think, when the history is not there, I will tend to wait in her.
Yeah, I do agree with you, because that's why I put this case, because they are bound to be having difference of opinion in managing this case. So these type of cases, they need to be discussed thoroughly. We have to have all pros and cons in mind, and then we decide. So that's
Because
why
yes, I think very right.
Yeah.
Because in this particular patient, I feel there is an EPLA is a great diagnosis. And I
Yes.
think we should really investigate on that, because I feel that 13 weeks also she aborted. At that time also it had been missed, and at 16 also it had been missed. So in case if it is something like this, then in that case I will, in case of 4 centimeters cervical length, I will not put an cerclage.
So the conclusion is this, that unless and until we have a documentation of a properly formed fetus 16 weeks, indicating that it was a case of...
There is nothing like this. If somebody goes and does an cerclage, there is nothing wrong in it. If Dr. Kuldeep Jain does it, there is nothing wrong in it. It is just a difference of opinion. He may like to do it, he can go ahead. If I don't like to do a filler, I can wait and then see the repercussions.
Your expertise matters.
Bind up karo yaar.
We can. Next case, last case.
Band karo madam, bahut ho gaya.
Okay, ma'am. This is the last one. She is 30 years old, para 1, 3 abortions, and wants to conceive. TVS shows a subseptate uterus. What is your next step?
What is this? Para 1, abortion 3, life 3, what is this?
नहीं वो शायद गलत है.
L0 है.
3 abortion.
L0 है.
3 abortions है, L0 है.
L1.
That's separate uterus.
3 L1.
L1. This is L1.
Yes, L1. She has a subseptate uterus. कैसे करेंगे?
पहली लाइफ प्रेगनेंसी है. What is the history of this patient?
अच्छा वो सब छोड़ दीजिएगा. यूट्रस में एक सिम्टम है.
क्यों छोड़ दीजिएगा?
सेप्टम का भी बड़ा लफड़ा है. कई लोग कहते हैं काटो, कई कहते हैं नहीं काटो.
अगर इसका लाइव बच्चा है तो कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है.
जरूरत नहीं है. यही तो this is what I wanted to ask.
That part is wrong. She has got abortions.
No living.
She has a symptom and abortions, no live issue.
She has
That's
3
a
abortions.
misprint.
She has 3 abortions, no live issue. Then, and the resection definitely Dr. Kuldeep must be doing it hysteroscopically, and they say it has to be done with cold scissors and not with diathermy and all. So I think what
Dr. Kuldeep, one question for you, Doctor. Since you are doing wonderful minimal invasive surgeries, what is your take on use of GnRH before hysteroscopic metroplasty to thin out the septum?
Not to be used.
Not to be used. And Doctor, one more question. Role of HCQ in cases of RPL? Role of HCQ?
What is HCQ?
Doctor, hydroxychloroquine? Because ASHRAE guidelines do mention.
Yeah, I don't have any experience on that.
ठीक है डॉक्टर।
Ideally, there is no role of SCQ, only in those patients who are already taking SCQ or there are patients of
SLE.
or whatever.
For
Then
the
only-
patient of
then only-
SLE and
SLE.
Then only if they are,
SLE.
they are already
Yeah, for
taking, we should
SLE,
not stop.
for SLE only.
but otherwise no role.
No
actually.
role in
No role
RPL, no
such.
role in RPL.
ठीक है. So this was the last of our questions. I hope all our questions have been answered very well. The audience has got great remarks for us. Useful, fruitful presentation, etc. Excellent session, Dr. Kuldeep. And anything to be asked to Dr. Kuldeep or Dr. Sharda ma'am is there? Any of my panelists would
It
want
has
some
been a
more
great,
clearance?
great. No more questions, Dr.
ठीक है,
Thank you, Dr. Kuldeep.
Thank you, Dr. Kuldeep. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much,
Thank
and I am
you.
looking forward from everyone. I need full support of all of
Good.
you. Please
Ma'am.
use your network for getting me elected. Thank you so much.
Definitely, definitely.
Right.
Ma'am, 1 second.
Yes, ma'am.
My AGM is there and he wants to pay our regards to entire gynae fraternity. So I just request. Yeah.
Vikrant, thanks. Dr. I joined a bit late. Thank you very much for the time you have given, for the opportunity you have given to us for floating this platform. So thanks a lot. Future also, Dr. Sir, next program.
Thank you.
So definitely we are at your service.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Always
Thank
happy.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye bye, everyone. You made us